Well, it's a draw, but I'm sure the Arsenal fans watching will agree with me. It feels like a loss. Full time, 3-all at Anfield, an incredible game for the neutral, a torturous one for the fans of both teams who defended really poorly throughout. Um, that said, having been ahead in the final few minutes at 3-2, having come from behind twice to fail to win the game is a real punch to the gut. I mean, we shouldn't be surprised to see a late goal. It seems to happen at Anfield all the time. Thanks to Andrew Allen and Albino on Twitter for helping me out with this stat. But of the 19 Premier League games we've played at Anfield in the Wenger era, I think 8 have featured goals conceded in the last 5 minutes by Arsenal. Uh, Leonardson 98, Fowler 2000, Heskey 2003, Mellor 2004, Garcia 2006, Benayoun 2009, Skirtle 2014, and Joe Allen joins that roll call now with the equaliser in 2016. Um, a crazy game, a crazy game. You know, Jurgen Klopp has spoken in the past about how he feels that Arsene Wenger prefers symphonic football and he prefers heavy metal. Well, this was a heavy metal game, end to end, chaotic, players abandoning responsibility, charging ahead of the ball, the likes of Aaron Ramsey and Jordan Henderson both pushing on in midfield, probably more than was appropriate, exposing their defences, um, players conceding possession too easily, basic defensive errors. I mean, to put it in perspective, I think when we played Liverpool in August, there were 26 shots in the whole game and 0 goals. In this match, the first 5 shots on goal produced 4 goals. Everything was flying in. Um, I mean, where to start? We went behind. A Theo Walcott error trying to dribble out of defence was dispossessed. I think that sort of thing is why you see Walcott predominantly used as a centre forward now, not a winger. And when Alexis comes back, I think he'll come into the team and Walcott will either be a striker or on the bench. But we got an equaliser straight away. Brilliant play from Joel Campbell, brought it down, spun, played in Ramsey on one of those forward runs, and a good finish into the near post. Second goal, a bit more unfortunate, I thought. This time it was Flamini who was dispossessed, but the ball ricocheted twice off Campbell before falling to Firmino, who finished beautifully. But before half time, it was 2-2. Brilliant corner into the near post from Ozil. That's actually a great delivery. It's poorly defended, but very well placed into that area. Giroud flicked it in. And it ought to have been 3-2 by half time. An extraordinary miss from Giroud. More great play from Campbell. Good cross from Walcott. But he just I don't know what he did. I mean, he sort of got ahead of the ball, Giroud. And so it came off his knee rather than his foot. Quite an embarrassing miss. But nevertheless, he made up for that in some style when he put Arsenal ahead in the game for the first time. A world-class goal, really. Another assist from Campbell. Clever pass into the penalty area. Giroud span with a little Cruyff turn and bent it into the far corner. Brilliant take. Any striker in this league or any other would be proud of that. But the problem was at that stage there was still so long left. It was incredible watching the clock. It felt like so much had happened in the game that you expected it to end imminently. But there was about half an hour to go, and Arsenal sat back, and there was a certain feeling of inevitability about Liverpool's eventual equaliser. You know, I suppose when you're defending as poorly as we did today, attack is the best form of defence. But the problem is players like Mesut Ozil, players like Joel Campbell, who were very good in this game, faded. They were tired, understandably so, because it was such a frenetic encounter. And we lost the ability to retain possession, to attack. And had we pushed on and scored that fourth goal, obviously I'm sure that would have been it. But it never came, and Liverpool went direct. They brought on Stephen Colker to play up alongside Christian Benteke. They completely changed the style of play, and eventually it paid dividends. The ball dropped to Allen inside the penalty area after a Benteke knocked down, and he prodded it into Czech's near post. Very disappointing because, you know, this is a night where Manchester City dropped points at home to Everton in a 0-0 against a Roberto Martinez defence. Didn't see that coming. Liverpool won at Tottenham now. Sorry, Leicester won at Tottenham. I suppose we should be disappointed because it means Leicester keep pace with us, but I still think in the longer term Spurs are probably the greater threat, so that's probably a good result for Arsenal. It would have been a massive win in the circumstances to come away from Anfield from 3 points. A point's not a bad result in itself, it's just to lose those 2 other points so late in the day. It's gutting, it's gutting. But we were hanging on to an extent. There were some great Mertesacker interventions, and I do wonder if, having come from behind twice, the players were just too drained, effectively, to continue for that final 20 minutes. We were slightly clinging on, and it's difficult to deny that Liverpool deserved their point. Just before I go, special mention on tonight's game for Joel Campbell. Arsene said before this game he reminded him of Francis Coquelin in terms of the impact he was having on the team and the degree to which that was a surprise. I thought that was a bit of an overstatement. After this match, I'm not so sure. He was absolutely brilliant. Slide tackles, great control of the ball in possession, some wonderful incisive passing, willingness to take on a shot when required, very determined from a defensive point of view. Showed Walcott, I think, what wide players need to do in terms of tracking back and helping out the fullback when required. I just thought he was outstanding. And on his current form, when Alexis does come back into the side, I think it will be Walcott rather than Campbell who drops out, and that's extraordinary. Going ahead of Oxlade-Chamberlain in the pecking order was one thing. To go ahead of Walcott, quite another. There we go. Anyway, 3-3. We go to Stoke. It doesn't get much easier. Right, bye-bye.